So next on the list I think is to get this bonnet off. So there's 3 wires going to the headlights. They're all labelled by whoever did the wiring. You have earth, dip and head. So what I did is just quickly wrote out what each wire goes to, and that's just going to help me putting it back. So what I'll do is I will take off the wires. I think that should be it. It's only going to be a matter of taking the 2 bottom bolts out of the bonnet. Then it doesn't have a stay on it. I think I might have a spare one there. If he wants me to fit it, he can do that. Always good sometimes just to write out a little what each one's for. That's fine there when they're written out nice and clearly. Fair play to whoever did that. But it's just to work out which one's which on the headlight. Not impossible if you take it apart and you know by looking at the bulb, which is the bigger filament is for mains, and then the smaller filaments for dip and all that. But this just makes it a lot easier just writing it out. All the wires are different colours, so at least we know if they are working. I have to get pliers like these if they're hard, but no, they're coming out slowly. Good connections anyway. Nice job done on them. Right, so that's that. But down here at the bonnet, I usually prefer to run these in. Now the problem we have, and you've probably seen it if you're watching the videos on the 20 diesel there, when I noticed after bringing it back from a show, about a 10-mile round trip, that the lock nut had actually fallen out from underneath. So I ran my bolt head this side and ran the threads through, but of course you have the radiator studs coming down, so they could be getting in the way of that a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll close the bonnet, I'll have a look up from underneath, and we'll see what's happening underneath there, if there's going to be room for bolts. And these bolts look very narrow. I do prefer to put in ones that are going to be good. And okay, so you see what's happening there, right? There's room there for threads, so we'll take out that bolt. I think the nut has come off that. Yeah, it's come off that side there. And then this side here, we also have room for a certain amount of thread. So you know, I'll definitely run them in, put the bolt inside here, the nut inside here I should say, and run the bolt in from the outside so we don't have thread sticking out. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Yeah. And then we'll be able to lift that off. I'm just going to probably sit it down on that rubber mat there rather than scratching the bonnet underneath, and that should be it. So let's get a few sockets at that now and see if those bolts want to come out. It's looking like roughly an 18 there. The lock nuts up. Of course, when you put the bolts in from the outside in, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to pull them out than to push them in. So what I do is I just get a screwdriver and just shove it in there, and then I go on the other side, and that stops the bonnet falling down and hitting the top of the radiator. So I'll just get a screwdriver and I pull that out. Okay. Okay. We've got wash there. And this should just keep it in place, and of course the rubber then won't damage that. It's just a little just makes it a little bit handier to handle it. This side here, I think, doesn't have a nut on it, and as you can imagine, it's a little bit tight for putting in the socket with the radiator stud on top of it, so I might have to get a ratchet socket for that. I'll just give it a tap with the hammer and see if I want to move. Okay, that's fairly solid, unless it's threaded through from the inside. That's okay, we'll get a ratchet for that. A ratchet spanner. See that help. A little bit tight there with the. It's a bit tight there with the radiator. Let's get a torch and have a look. Unless it's a bigger one, then the bolt. It seems to be 90. That's no problem. This has not been out of here in a long time. In fact, I hope this isn't welded in place. It's it looks like there's something underneath it here. Definitely something going on here. Some form of a plate underneath it. Didn't notice it when I looked at first. So you see that plate there? Try and get the camera to focus first. It's definitely doing something. It's making kind of. It's just below it. It's like that's nearly there to stop it from loosening. So we'll have to have a look at that. There's a bit of welding going on here. See some welding rods there. So it's going to have to come out one way or another. Is there enough of a gap there to cut it? Probably is enough to get a hacksaw blade in there. Then we'll be able to you know, doctor it out then, I suppose. You'd wonder why they just didn't use a nut on the end of it and be done. Anyway, that's what we have to contend with, so yeah, let's try and get that out. I managed to put on a smaller 3/8 drive socket, and it seems to be gripping it, and it seems to be moving it slowly, so maybe we're going to win it. We'll see. I'm not sure. I've never encountered anything like this before now, I'm not going to lie. But I suppose there's different ways and means of doing it, getting the bonnet held on. Maybe this happens a lot of the time. It's definitely looser. Really isn't a whole lot of space under there. One click on the ratchet is going to hold it still. So I'm going to tap a screwdriver in there, or maybe this extension, and that should hold it. Okay. Or not. that doesn't matter. Look, the main thing is it looks like we're winning there anyway, so that's okay. There's some form of maybe it's just a bit of JB weld or one of them holding it on. So we should be ready to lift that off now. And that should be it. We got the bolt out. Tap that out with rice. So that's, I want to make things a little bit more accessible. So a new radiator fitted. That's okay. The feeling will be draining out the coolant, because I really do have to get in there. I have to make sure there's a thermostat in there. Another thing I did yesterday evening was, he was saying that this injector spill off pipe was leaking, and what I did was I took it apart and I put new olives on it and tidied it all up, pushed the olives down a bit so we'll slowly get them to push up, flare the ends as well so that the olives stay put, and yeah, that just wasn't. It was kind of preformed flares on the end of it. They weren't thick enough, so they're good thick olives. That should sort out the issue. So that's another job there. I had to take it off anyway for the tank. So plenty of antifreeze, nice to see. We're going to have to break this seal anyway to get this on in there, because that's loose there. So we may as well then, of course, just pull this off. We might be able to leave this on since it's not leaking, or maybe I might just be able to drain enough down here that I can break that seal, check in there. That's what I might do. There's no need to take off the radiator really, so that's what I might do. Thinking on the hop here now as usual. So I will grab, these are original style Jubilee clips. I have a good load of them, the newer type ones there if needs be. I need to replace these. These can be a pig to remove, or they can be okay. This one here doesn't look great, but it's moving. It's loose, it's not tight. So I really have a feeling there's no thermostat in here, because if there was, these pipes would be leaking, like, definitely. So that's that, and then I'll get the one on the other side off. It's not overly tight either. Take off the cap because we'll be draining out a bit of antifreeze. If we get something to drain that, I'll get a bucket to drain that into in a minute. Yeah, what am I doing? Shouldn't be loosening that until I have the tap open. Yeah, I'll get the bucket, open up the tap. Hopefully that tap is working. Some of them can be a little bit stiff, and you'll see a lot of them with this broken off. If that's the case, I'll just let it out the lower radiator, take off the lower hose, and we'll allow it to drain out. So I'll get the bucket and come back and we'll try and drain out a bit of that. Draining away, I'm just going to run the pick in just in case there's a bit of dirt there causing it to be splashing it. Probably is, as you can see there. Just poking through, this might, yeah, it's a bit better. I just prefer it to be not splashing everywhere. So that's okay, we'll let that drain, and we'll keep an eye on the level here, top of the radiator, and we should be able to let that down enough, take off the pipe, What else do we need to do here? We need to loosen bolts or nuts under the studs here. Make sure we can pull this forward or move it a little bit. That should be 11/16. That didn't take much. No, that could be nice and loose. Side here, nice and loose. So we're ready to go there. That one we can leave on the rest, I think. You just have to loosen off that top hose. That should allow me to pull the radiator out so I can get this casting off. Draining away there. It's not going to take much more, so I should be able to take these off now. This will improve the starting of the engine, after a couple of temperature. Fitting thermostat will help the start. That's what I meant to say. The engine will be proper forward. And these pipes look a little bit cracked. I'll replace them and have a full set. New ones there. I'll put a bit of Indian head on these. Start to think this one isn't great anyway, it's very terrace. I think we'll get rid of this one. Especially if we're going putting a thermostat in it. So the right thing to do is I want to go up to replace that jug there. It's just not impossible to tighten it up enough. Enough water out. Yeah, just not overly impressed with this. It's just a little bit too perish for my liking, soft and cracked and all that. So, I'll put a new one on. That jubilee is perfect. So I'm happy with that. So, next thing to do here. Yeah. One of these wires off here. Well, we don't. Well, yeah, I'll have to, because I have to tidy that up. So I'll get snips for them. I want to take this thermostat casting to kind of house them off, put it onto the table there, onto the bench there, and make sure it's good and flat to get a bit egg shaped over time. Now we'll get her 1/2 inch. coming. Has not been moved in a long time. Look, that's not happy. Heck. That's just twisting. Now if I have to drill it out and put it up in bolter, it would be fine, but it's actually bent in there. The inside one here, this one has to be moved with a spanner. That's definitely going to shear. It's you can just see it there now. It's actually bent, it's like for some reason. And the head is twisting, and the bit sticking through at the bottom isn't twisting. Whew. There's always something, as the man says. So what do you do with that? Do I try and take off the radiator, have a look down there, torch the seals through thermostat in it? Yeah, I think that's what I'll have to do. Yeah. So let's keep draining this antifreeze. So take the whole lot out of it. The whole lot out of it. Take off the radiator and get in there. I have a feeling there's going to have to be a bit of drilling going on. So if that's the case, make sure I only do that with the rocker cover back on. So while that is draining, what I can do is I do plan on doing valves here, having the radiator off will make life easier for that as well. I don't have to remove this. That's okay, that can stay. I can try the head bolts for torque. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what I can do. Try and loosen these equally. Some of the valves will be pushing up on them. So let's let them off equally. So number one here is you can feel it coming up. It's getting pushed up, so that's the one you take your handy with, and that will just help keep the rocker shaft straight. Sometimes the stud will come as well, that's no problem. Like that. So that's okay. I usually put them in order then. Store them in order, why not? Make sure it's looking good here. Bit of wiggle. This will be going into the parts washer. I'll be blowing out the oil gallery. Make sure it's nice and clear. Takes oil up from here through that hole. Put that into the parts washer. Right, it's all looking good. Yeah, valve springs look good. It's about weak for my liking. Couldn't really be able to turn them that handy, but there is one on the inside. But they're all turning, so. Okay. Task and plug there, the core plug, to make sure there's no water leaking out through that. A little bit of paper. Sure it looks like it's in good nick. That's what we're looking at there. Okay. Looks good, no sign of water coming up through there, which is good news. If there is water coming up, you can, the thread on that is a 3/4 BSP, British Standard Pipe. Go into your plumbing suppliers, ask for 3/4 BSP blank. So you can get them in brass, with a nut head in them, screwed down there, nice and neat so it's not getting in the way of any of the rocker shaft and the tappets and all of that. Buy a few of them even if you have to, because they're not expensive, and drill that out. Try and hoover all the stuff up. Or if you it's better to do when you have the head off, of course, and thread in your blank with a bit of Loctite, and that should be the job done. So that's good. So I'm just going to check the torque on the head and make sure that's done, because we're going putting in our thermostat. We do want all of that to be good and tight. I'll set the torque spanner to 70 Newton meters. It should be up to 108. Just when I hear a click, check first that everything is a-okay. 70 is low now in fairness, but we just want to make sure. Okay, there's one there that's loose. Jesus, that's not great. Okay. The purpose of checking this, I'm not too fussed about. That's loose as well. Jesus, it's not great if they're loose. Down to 70. Check all these. Right, 26 is the one together. Okay, so there you go. Some of them are too loose. So 70 Newton meters, I was turning one or two of them, should be up to 108 Newton meters. So I'll keep going slowly up in 5s and 10s, whatever I feel is, I'll go by feel, bring it up to 108. Okay, so at 76 Newton meters, a lot of them ended up tight then. So, just not on enough. That's what happens over time, I suppose. bit of a workout. Get that one done. It's checking. I like to just kind of go back over the first few as well, because they do stretch. Time you get back to them again, like that one. Stretch. Okay. Check in again. Check them all again before I go up to the next setting. Not necessarily worryingly loose, like, but definitely something that the thermostat could end up causing leakage, sort of stretching as well. So this is something that I'll stretch as well. I'll keep doing till I get, you know, leave it for a day, come back and bring it up to the next. So we're at 82 Newton meters there, 86, 88. So we'll bring it up to 90 and lock it there. I write it down if I have to take a break. Well, it'll be locked on this actually. I want to slowly bring it up because there's no rush on this. Like, yeah. So that's down 4. So here. I'm probably trying to do from inside. And that one, it's not like the TV order only has, I think it's 10, is it? Studs. Yeah. There's 26 on this, so we've that kind of square done there. So we'll try and go from the inside and the outer one there. Slowly. Way out. Okay, last one there. Lovely. So we'll leave that there for the time being. It's at 90 Newton meters. And we'll let it stretch away. And what we'll do is I'll come back then every now and again. I'll keep checking them at 90 and slowly then get them stretched to 90 and just bring it up then slowly in increments to get to 108. I'm not a fan of, you know, I don't know what condition things are in down there, so I didn't have the head off, so I do not want to be ringing any of these, God forbid. So we'll leave it there and we'll have a look on what else we can do for the time being. I've taken off this pipe here. It should be ready to lift the radiator off now. That's okay. Now we can have a little look. Move this out of the way to keep it dirty. Okay, that'll make life easier for doing a bit of valve clearance when I have that torqued. I'll be able to put the starting hand in and twist her over there. Fan belt is great. Going to stick a little wire down there. Let's see, do we have thermostat? No thermostat. Okay. Right. Won't have fun getting that off. So I'll just get a 1/2 inch and see if I can get out the other one. I know the one on the back is most likely going to need to be drilled out. Will the one on the front oblige us? Will we get one of them out handy enough? Again, this doesn't go over that bolt grate. No, not great. It's turning though, I think. Yeah. Let's keep this one moving. This is that one moving. I know the other one just looks like it's bent and all that, but still. Get it out in one piece would be brilliant. I can retread it. If I can retread it, put a new bolt in it, it could be onto something. That's coming out. At the end of the day, it is only going into aluminium. That's coming out nice. Okay, is that captive? Yeah, it is. Kind of. Doesn't matter, it will stay there. This little ball bulb now is the next question. I think it's going to have to come out regardless. Breaking it or whatever. Should be able to get something in there to hold it. Yeah, that's our shear. That's okay, we knew it was going to do that anyway. But we'll put a bolt through it and a nut in the end. Yeah. And inside there is no thermostat. The thermostat just sits in there. So I'm going to shove a cloth down there to stop any dirt going down in there firstly, and or a bit of white paper maybe, and we can start trying to remove that. So I'm going to centre punch him and I'm going to drill him out, and might try and run a tap down, leave a little bit of it in there, run a tap down and see how we get on. Just cut it fairly flat there across, and I cut out the bit underneath there as well because that was all bent. So now I'm just going to go and centre punch it and then start drilling it slowly. Okay, so nicely centre punched there. It should be okay. I should be able to drill that. And yeah, let's give it a go anyway and we'll see how we get on. Right, we're up to 6.5 nearly here, 6.5 mil, and we have a 5/16 UNF. So that'll leave enough meat in the bone. Should leave enough meat on the bone to do a bit of tapping. If all was right in the world. Oh God, that is satisfying seeing that thread getting cut, I can tell you, considering the state it was aiming to go. I think we'll bring you in a little bit closer in there, drop the camera a bit so you can see them, the threads getting cut. So this will be stronger, this should be stronger than the coarse thread in one way, because there'll be more threads. The coarse thread's probably deeper. So look, I'll just hope it works. If it doesn't, all we have to do is just run a longer bolt through it, put a nut on the end of it. That's actually probably what it will do anyway. This is the first thread. This is just for kind of cleaning. So I like to, especially with this is aluminium, so you definitely can go a little bit. You know, you can go a 6.5 mil if you're looking for to tap, you know, a 7 mil, especially in aluminium, I think. Sure is satisfying work. And look, we're running all the way up. It's a bit narrow at the top actually, so we don't need to. So that, I have a workshop hoover in here now, so I'll hoover all this up obviously, but the engine is well protected from it. The filings, of course, the last thing I want is that going in there. Okay, so how are they looking? It's not looking bad at all. So I have a bolt over on the edge here. So this is about the right size here. Okay, that lad there. So what I might do is now go and get a longer one. I can put a chance of putting a nut on the end of it, so that we can strengthen this up. I think that's what I'm going to go and do. So I'll go and have a look for a longer one. I'm just matching up. It's a longer bolt. It's probably too long. So let's see if I can get I'll be able to get a nut on the back of it. It will be a little bit tight. If it is, I'll just hit it with the file. Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit tight there. So I'll just hit in there with the file a little bit, take a bit of material off, and it should act nearly as a captive nut then. Very little filing needed. We have our nut underneath it now as well. So that'll definitely just strengthen things up, and we can cut that to length. So let's have a look here at what sort of length we're going to need. I don't have any washers on this, so I'll get an idea. And to be honest with you, it's just the fuel tank I'd be worried about, that's all. Forget how close the fuel tank gets. could be okay. Yeah, we should be fine. If we run by the front of that fuel tank, we should be fine. But one thing I do notice when I'm screwing this in is I have to keep that fairly snug up there, because this is going to become nearly captive. So yeah, you have to nearly make sure that's threading through. Okay, so this is how we're looking now. We knew it was going to happen, right? So washer on top, and at the bottom maybe spring washer at the bottom, and we should be A1. Very good. So that's how we got to getting over that hole, because I can tell you one thing, I've replaced 2 of these thermostat housings in here, the aluminium ones, and they are pig to fit. Got the file holes wider and nothing lines up and leaks and all of that. So no. So what I'll do now is I'll flatten this surface here, and on the sheet of sandpaper I'll get that ready for use, and then we'll do a bit of cleaning up in the thermostat housing here to make sure I can take thermostat. That's what we'll do. I'll bring in the workshop vacuum there now, and we'll just clean all that filings away. And yeah, I think we're after doing a nice little repair on that. I've been hitting this on the top of the sandpaper. Plastic. And the brush is great for cleaning it. It's cleaning up nice. That's going to be good enough. Like a bit more of that, like just get out some of them spots there that are getting close to there. Could cause a leak, but it wasn't leaking before. Yeah, so I'll keep tapping at that, tipping it, leave it on there to remind me that I can keep going at that. Right, starting to get down. Alright, we're starting to get a good few parts off it. So one thing I could go at is maybe that primer pump. Let's do that. And of course I can keep torquing down the head the whole thing as well. I start cleaning that up. I stuff a bit of cloth in there to scratch off the old gasket and make up a new gasket and a new primer pump. And even get it fitted and get it sealed up. That's not going to be in the way of anything, I don't think. No, it shouldn't be. No, I was thinking for spill time I have to get in behind that, but no, I do it on my own one there with the primer pumps, and it doesn't cause any bother at all. So I might fish out a new primer pump and start making a gasket for it and have that much done. I'm just cleaning that off there now a little bit, so that's where we are now. So it's a little rub of it, and the cloth's shoved into it there. So a bit of a degreaser wipe there now. I have a new gasket found, but to be honest with you, I find a lot of the time you're better off making your own gasket for the likes of this and the water pump and all of that. I find they're always just a little bit skimpy and they usually end up leaking, and if this leaks you have to go taking off fuel pipes and all that, and bleeding the system again and all of that. So I think I'll just make my own gasket. So, and the same with that, like I have the new gaskets for that. That's the new primer pump there, and that's the gasket that I found. It's just really thin and skimpy. I don't think it's great. Probably okay with Indian head sealer on both sides of it, but I think I'm better off just making my own one to hell and putting it on, because I don't want this leaking after I put it all back together, you know, and having to go take fuel pipes off and all of that. So that's what I'm going to do. We've Indian head on it there, and of course I probably shouldn't have put that on until I made my gasket, so I'm going to quickly make that gasket now. I'm not going to record it because I want to do it ASAP, because it's always better to not put that on until you're ready to go to fit the part. So I'll quickly make that and we'll come back then and we'll fit the pump. So that's it fitted. Hopefully now it'll be all right. So I have to take off this in here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. 7/8 banjo bolt. Let's see what condition that's in. In fact, I think I'll take off the whole. It's dripping there, so I think I'll take off the whole filter, because I'll be servicing this and be able to make sure to give everything a good clean out. So you do come to the point where you start slowly putting bits and pieces back on after you've fixed them and taken them off and fixed them and all that. There's a lot of things going on here, but I suppose there's a method to my madness, I suppose. I don't want to put in a parts order until I'm sure I have everything in that order. And I only want to put in an order once, so I may as well go ahead. What size is that now? I may as well take this out. Actually, before I go doing a whole lot more, I have to disconnect it there. So 5/8 if I'm not mistaken. I'll go and get the spanners and come back. Right, 5/8 it is. That's very loose. And that could have been some of his problem. Might take that off there first. There seems to be a crack in that. There is a joint in them pipes, alright. Sometimes it can just go. I think that's a 13/16. I'm not. Memory's right. It's a while since I took one off. Yeah. So the original pipes do have a joint there. And it can get loose, so I'd say just to be safe I'm going to replace that with a new one. That's the last thing I want. To remember years ago, one of these on a Ferguson home there split. Why Jess, I can tell you, she throwing smoke. It's a lot of paint on it, so let's go to the next size up just to take it off now that it's loosened. It seems to be getting really tight there, is it? Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, I'll inspect this, but I have a feeling now we're talking about a new pipe. This is very important. It's a very important pipe. It's a very important job. What are 13/16 go on, I wonder. Where that paint has gone off now. Very tight fit. It's the right one, I'd say. So I come back there and I have that ready to pop off. It's off. It'll have to be come off there because I'll be doing spill timing on this. That'll stiffen up the pump, and we want the pump to be able to move. think that these are a bit loose. Maybe it's a 9/16, maybe it's a different one. I'd always use the 5/8 on them. No, definitely it feels like a 5/8, alright. Might get a 15mm spanner if it wants to start acting the arse. Yeah, there we go. Just been on there a while. Get this fuel filter off. Open it up, put in a new fuel filter element and blow everything out with the air gun and clean everything out, put a new O-ring and all that crack. There we go. Keep that up out of the way there. Now we can take off this. That's one side there. Okay, where's my 1/2 inches sockets gone? There we go. My 1/2 inch spanner. So I get this filter off. Very long bolt, so I'll replace this with a short bolt. No need for it to be so long. There really was an awful lot of pipes and everything on these when they were new. Anyway, a lot of people got rid of the auxiliary tanks and all of that as time went by, and the Kai gas and all of that. Very tight for space. If they were to put everything back on this that should have been on it. Yeah, that's way too long. No need for that, like just the bonnet, taking it here, taking it off. Treads get dirty and covered in paint and all of that. Okay, so there we go. Let that drain into the there. That's what I'll do. It'll all be full of water and everything, so. And then I'll give the rocker shaft a good draining as well. Right. So that's giving me a bit more space when I go to work on throttle rods, so that's going to be another little job I'm going to be doing. Right, I'm going to attempt to take off the back off this pump. So some of these can be fairly well rusted in place. So I just cleaned them back there with a Dremel, with the little soft kind of wire brush head on it there. And these will go into, they thread into this. So a lot of time they were never taken off in their lives. I like to take them off and fill them full of grease, and that should make that a little bit more kind of airtight. So they're either going to come fairly handy, or they're going to literally be utter pigs. There's no point even spraying any form of penetrating oil into it, because you're never going to get right in there to where the threads actually go. So what I do, and I tap in screwdriver a bit, hopefully that will loosen the threads, and then you just hope. And we're in luck with this one. I've come across somewhere one comes out handy and the other one doesn't budge, and you're like, that's frustrating. I do have spare ones of them if I I need them, so if I have to, I'll take off this diaphragm housing and I can drill them out, but you're getting into severe ball ache territory at that point, like. One bad slip on this now and you're in trouble, like. And this one's kind of a bit deeper. Nearly want a little impact driver there, like. But this is anyway loose going in. I think we're going, yeah. Wow, that was lucky because that was starting to slip. See, when I get them out, I can slot them there in the vise. Lucky. As I can see, the throttle rod is just cable tied to the other side of this thing. So that's not ideal. Jeez, we were lucky. We were lucky. Beautiful. Oh, well. Yeah, they'll slot up nicely. Now, let's try to get that out of the way a little bit there. So what's happening here is it's just cable tied to it. So that's not ideal. I have a better part there, and you can see some old grease in there as well. So that'll be fun cleaning that out. Look. Get done, so I get these slips. We'll take that off. That's not ideal, but we'll have another one. Another one of them for it there anyway. Right. Fairly rotten. Anyway, that's another part off, and now what I've got to do, because there was some kind of welding done there, is take this part off. That could be fun as well, and then replace that with my spare part, and hope then that everything comes apart and goes back together. And if it does, we are laughing, because there is a woodruff key in there as well to be very careful with. I know that for sure. I remember taking these apart before. Brilliant. And that just basically pushes on the rack there. Oh jeez, that is tight. Yeah, I think now we're starting to get into the problem area here with this tractor. This should be moving inwards. I got my plastic hammer. This should be moving inwards. That's way too tight. Let's get a better light in there. It's that bit there. That should be moving in and out. It's on a spring. It's like a damper. So we're going to have to go in a little bit deeper. We're going to have to take off this housing here, and we're going to have to start having a look in there and cleaning all that out, because that's just too solid. But that won't be a problem. Take it out, polish it up, put it back together, and then I want to check the diaphragm as well, because I have a new one there to fit if needs be. But until then, we can work with our little part that we took off there anyway. Alright, so the first thing we do with this is we try and repair that slot a little bit. So it's going to need a little bit of tinkering there just to close that gap, because it's someone has tried to take it off before or got it off before. I don't know. We are going to find out, and then we're going to have to grip it. This part is no good anyway. Well, with a bit of modification and the right tap, you could be retapped to take the, this kind of a nipple thing it takes. So we're going to have to maybe slot in with the hacksaw. I think it's going to be the only way out of this, because that slot just isn't going to work. It's just a bit damaged. Give it a deepening. That's looking a little bit better there. So move it back and give it a go. So I think I'm better off tapping in a bit into it. Get it in nice and snug. Felt like it was going in fairly well. Possibly you're better off tapping something in like this. No, so it's not tight anyway, so we'll just give it a go and see. There we go. Right, we're lucky. Again, we are lucky. Right. Tap him out. All right. Lovely when it goes to plan. Woodruff key in there. Don't go knocking it around too much because it'll knock it out. And the Woodruff key is there. Strange, in the casting they always had one on the other side as well. So it's just going to need a bit of a clean up, that's all. But give it a quick clean up there in the parts washer. And softly hold it here and make sure that Woodruff key goes nowhere, because that'll be hard to find. Where did I want to clean? No, I'm actually not going to touch it even, because that Woodruff key comes out. Try and pick it out with my nail. If it doesn't come out with my nail, I don't want it flying. Just a quick clean up there. That's all I'm looking to do. Okay. Look, we'll just clean things up a bit so we can see what we're working with. So that is that. I think I have throttle. And the throttle parts there. I have this. I know I definitely have this part. So go and get them, and we'll fit that on, and we'll give that a proper clean out in the parts washer. Fill it full of new grease, and that should be ready to go. There's the other part, and that's all in one piece with this on the end. There was nothing on the end there because it was all welded up. So that's something, another job for another day, maybe, to recommission that. So we'll just tighten up the nipple on that. That's what they're called. I presume they're some form of a nipple. No, it doesn't have to be too tight. Where is it going to go at the end of the day? So we've one of them there, so we can softly grip him in there just to hold him. Our Woodruff key slot is there. So I presume, and I suppose I have to loosen this first, I suppose. Okay. See if that wants to go down on it. If not, I'll just open the slot on this, take out the bolt altogether. Okay. Put that in there. Give it a tap with a screwdriver. I might just. Okay, so what are we looking there? Okay, this is the side we want, so we're looking something like that. Yeah, that makes sense. That comes back and it pushes out. Okay. So I suppose the best thing to do is grab that there. That's hard metal. Tap this in a little bit. And then that should tap in there. And it does. So that's good. That's just coming out there. So that's just what we want. That'll be lovely. And then we can put through a little bolt there. The nuts started falling on the bloody ground, of course. I felt them hitting my leg, so there it is. I'll have a go. It's fitting that. See what size it is. It's a little late. There we go. That's going to go nowhere. So now we're going to be able to fit a proper throttle rod onto that. So just run it through the parts washer, get all that gunk out of it, and yeah, fill it full of grease, and we should be ready to go. I'm delighted with that. What I might do, just since I have it here, just give it a very easy, quick. Rub it out. That's all. So we've been very, very lucky with this now. We really have. And this goes on one way only. See the shape, so brilliant. Let's get that cleaned up, and I'm not going to fit it back on until I get off the what should we call it, the other housing, the diaphragm housing. And I'll put them all back on together. I'll fit this onto that and fit the whole lot back. But that's what we'll do. I'm very, very happy with that. There enough to know Scotland around those stuff. So last job tonight now will just be to open this. As I was draining it there into the parts washer there, I noticed there's a bit of water, and that's fairly common now. It's fairly common now. Have a little hammer there just to tap that down. The banjo there, the banjo bolt was very, very grubby, so that's something that definitely needs to be done. So there you go. It's not surprising. Rossland filter. So yeah. Let's leave that over in the parts washer just to drain. And it's not looking great in there either, but that's no bother at all. To give that a good clean out and all that. No bother at all. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do this evening. I have to clean up the top of this as well, because we'll put on a new copper washer as well. But I'm going to put the old one on to remind me to put a new one. And the last thing I'm going to do is yeah, I won't touch that bleeder till most of the time. This pipe is perfect. So we'll be putting on new copper washers or whatever on that to seal onto the new pipe. So we'll have a different setup now with the lift pump on it. Okay, so that'll all just want a bit of a cleaning down, but that's fine. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there this evening, and we'll take up from where we left.